Okay, so it's been 1 month, and I would have done the second video many different times, but this is the first really beautiful day where I feel like I have time because so much has happened since day one, which has been documented. See, it was all corn. You see the piles of corn stalks everywhere, and then where cob corn was buried, just coming up. Most of that fine yellow that you see is corn. So I'll pull them out eventually, but see, a fence was built a fence, and built did many swales. That one's full of mustard. And then I defined the road. You see there's marigolds on both sides. And gave really big wells to each tree. And as you can see again, as the first day one video, there are avocados planted from seed, and they're popping up, and they'll grow really wonderfully. See, significant size, and they'll all have two bamboo poles on both sides to protect them from getting stepped on. But everything's just running. So much to do. So yeah, marigolds don't really die in the winter here. They're lovely, and they're really easy to reproduce, and they give a lot of biomass. And then the other one to mark the path is evening primrose. They'll end up getting bigger than the marigolds, but they take longer. And it's been a lot of torrential rains to the point where it killed most of the papayas that I planted in the top of these swales. And these are the first swales, pretty rough. And sometimes the water broke through. And so I've mostly repaired them, but I've mostly made them smoother now. And you can see all of that mud there. That's all fine dirt that came from above. And there's been just a little bit of gullying, as you can see, a little bit, and a bit of erosion, but mostly I've saved it with the swales. So down here, the swale has been it's been worked on a second time. It's much more substantial. The physalis has done well. There's physalis everywhere, and it'll take over. And there's room on the back end of that swale. There's room on the back end to plant something else, and I will. And then inside the swale can be taro, and I'll definitely do that. So I won't be doing this in the future, but just with the contour of the land, I planted some tremoso or lupins, and they're growing well. I'll leave it alone, but mostly I want to protect from erosion every single time. So every single time I plant, I want to do more like I've done with these fava beans. Is have little swales, and the fava beans are coming up nicely. And then all the corn in a pile like this, it'll compost well, and that's a lovely refuge for earthworms down below there. They will love it. And then they've always got a stable environment at the bottom of these piles. And that's just the first round, and the first You know, just throwing them towards the pile, and then once I get to working around the pile, it ends up getting smaller and higher. This is ashwagandha. Same family as tomato family, same family as the physalis, but a bit different. But it holds space very nicely. It'll get quite big. And favas hold space quite nicely too. Here's an example of, you can see the torrential rain that we've had. Now see all of that mud? All that fine material that created that fine mud, because this is what it looks like elsewhere, all came from up there. It's all erosion. If I hadn't made these swales, this land would be in big trouble. So the citrus trees are doing fine. All the trees are doing wonderfully. You can see what happens when it's not raining. It's such a beautiful warm day. And for the road, it's a little bit different. Just dig these rain bars out and it diverts the rain so the road doesn't become a river. And eventually they'll be really just barely a bump, but I'm doing them rough for the moment. And so here in the average swale, you know, a nice bigger, more well done one, you can see there's plenty of fine dirt at the bottom, but that's okay because it didn't travel very far. That's as far as it traveled. And everything stopped there. A lot of banana trees, and they're just starting to come up. They're starting to pop back to life. And here's a pretty classic swale in the future. There's something planted on that bund, but there's also taro planted at the bottom of it. And they won't compete too much for light. This is a special kind of citrus. And bananas, a fig tree. What's important is the roots are doing fine. And if you want to know if a plant's doing fine, you look at the tip. And this hasn't, this hasn't come up with a nice, fresh, happy tip yet. But I'll show you an example. So just this cabbage, you can see the little guys are growing well. And a good example of a healthy growth tip, here's the banana growth tip coming out. No damage, no, it's doing fine. So this banana's doing fine. You see many more swales, and you can see the banana trees in there, and they'll start popping out. It's very recently planted. So quite a lot of trees and quite a lot of swale activity. I've never heard such a wonderful bird life, or at least almost never in my life. I can't think of a place, maybe Bali, that was richer, but Hawaii even isn't as noisy with lovely bird sound as here. Well, here's more what it will look like in the future. You see, really good work. You know, I spent time to stomp on it and everything. And 1, 2, 3 swales. And here is, it's like that lupin, but it's a little lupin. Tremosilio instead of tremoso. And the strawberry bed, and you see the erosion, the rain erosion that happened. I've already repaired it once and it's come back again. And you see the erosion from here. Excuse me. You see this This has all been eaten away, all of that. But it didn't go far, just went into that banana basin. There's nice roses, hybrid tea roses. They're doing well. Here the road takes a turn. There's a lot of erosion here, so I really got it banked the opposite way of the flow of water. So this water will come into here and then flow out there. And all of these rain bars on the road are quite exaggerated. They'll be smoothed out, as I've said. And here is my classic way of doing things, and maybe the whole land will be like this in the future, but maybe I'll leave some of the swales because they're way less work. This is a nice bed, and see how the path is dug out. And then this is all nice, fine soil, ready to be planted out. I've only transplanted some onions there. And then look at with the torrential rain. This was a lovely carrot bed. And you look at how much water gathered into that path there. It was full, and then it started flowing right there, started overflowing, and then just went nuts, just blew it all out, and then filled this path up, and then blew out the next bed, and then sort of calmed down a little bit right there, but still just blew out the garden down at the bottom, just running from up here. And so there's been a lot of earthworks, those swales, you see all those swales. There's been a lot of earthworks there, and it'll be pretty calm in the next torrential rain. You see this bed here? See how it's banked back? So all of the water that hits that bed goes back to this bottom end, and it's not going downhill. Here, these little bermy things, each one has a sweet potato in the bottom of it. They're that'll pop out. It'll come back. It'll be fine. But they took a beating. It took me a while to get them in the ground. Now here's the original garden when I was waiting for the corn guy to finish. That's the original garden, all that green. And then was corn. Now this will all be veggie bed. And then this will be the road, this high bit here, going up to there. And then on this side, these are the cold weather trees, like apples and whatnot. There's only a few, there's sticks, you can barely see them. And then this is a similar environment where there's a lot of shade from the bamboo and a lot of shade from the cryptomerias. So I don't put citrus or tropicals down here really. So this path walks through, and that's quite a lot of planting area there. A little bit more planting area here, plus the original planting area there. Then all the way back to there. So there's a lot of land. The birds are happy as heck. Birds are really happy. There's a lot of land, open land. And then all that trees, all that tree land, all that forest land can have coffee and tea under it with a lot of clearing. I'll clear, see it, you can't really see through it. I'll clear those lower branches. to really get the birds just loving it here. And then they can flit around. But listen to them. So wonderful. And they can flit around and just go crazy, and there will never be bug problems. So here's the latest. Starting to move the asparagus out from the shade and giving them more space out here. There are thousands of asparagus. So you can see the swale action up there, really. You can see that whole slope. It's plenty inclined. If there weren't swales on it, it would just have washed so much fertility and so much soil away and made so many problems. There'd be gullies everywhere. So that was a lot of work to get in front of that rain. And now I can work in a more balanced manner. So that's 1 month on the land. And there it is gorgeous here. You saw the sea view in the beginning of the video. I think it's paradise. And it's coming along. Blessings to you.